I know because I did not report my own rape. And it took me almost 4 decades.
An emotional plea, a plea for understanding.
I hid my shame deep inside my rib cage.
Dr. Ford!
Across the nation today, a sea of survivors and advocates uniting.
They say get back.
Women say fight back.
They say get back.
Women say fight back.
Their aim? To make a nation understand why it's so hard for sexual assault survivors to come forward, to report.
We see you. We believe you.
From New York City to Washington, D.C. And online, many wearing black, using the hashtag #BelieveSurvivors. Voices in solidarity with Christine Blasey Ford and Deborah Ramirez, two women coming forward with allegations against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh has denied the allegations against him. It's a national conversation, sparked partly by the president's comments on Fox News last week.
Sean, to see what's going on is just very, very sad. You say, why didn't somebody call the FBI 36 years ago? I mean, you could also say, when did this all happen? What's going on?
And this tweet the following day. I have no doubt that if the attack on Dr. Ford was as bad as she says, charges would have been immediately filed with local law enforcement authorities by either her or her loving parents. That belief, a flashpoint at today's event at New York City Hall, where survivors broke down why telling their truths can be so complex.
Even in sharing my story online, I get called names. I'm told, I'm a liar. I have people threaten me and harass me. Every survivor has a story like that when they've come forward.
When people try to flip the blame, it's really a problem, and it can really be super damaging.
We stand with you.
In today's crowd, 25-year-old Emily, herself a survivor of sexual assault. She asked us not to release her last name.
We see Dr. Ford, right, getting death threats, having her character questioned. Oftentimes after something so traumatic, you feel alone. You feel like, why? I don't want to repeat this. I don't want to repeat it to anyone. And so, of course, it takes a long time to come forward. Some people still haven't told, and I feel like that's no reflection on the validity of the claims or of what happened.
Emily was just a sophomore in high school when she says she was sexually assaulted by someone she viewed as a mentor in her community.
People that I told would say, well, did you say no? Or like, how did you say no? Did you cry? Did you scream? And I feel like that's not, the issue is that I didn't want what took place. That's the issue. The issue is that I was 15 and he was in a position of power and I didn't want anything to occur.
She says it took several months before she told her friends and would take years to accept what happened.
It took me a couple of years of really having community and having support and having a place to speak where I was able to really reckon with and see the harm that was done, and also look at how to move and heal and support other survivors through that.
In the past several days, thousands have taken to social media sharing their own stories of why they didn't report. Alyssa Milano, a key figure in the Me Too movement, tweeted directly at President Trump, writing, "Listen the expletive up. I was sexually assaulted twice. Once when I was a teenager. I never filed a police report, and it took me 30 years to tell my parents." Ashley Judd tweeted, "The first time it happened, I was 7. I told the first adults I came upon. They said, 'Oh, he's a nice old man. That's not what he meant.' So when I was raped at 15, I only told my diary. When an adult read it, she accused me of having sex with an adult man."
Sexual abuse and sexual harassment are the most underreported crimes. 70 to 90% of these crimes go unreported. Very few get prosecuted. When women do come forward, we look at the victim and what she did or didn't do, much more than we look at the perpetrator and what he did or didn't do.
Forensic psychologist Dr. Cheryl Arrett points to what's happening to Dr. Ford as an example of why some individuals choose not to come forward.
Dr. Ford has had to go into hiding with her family. She's been harassed and threatened multiple times. I understand she's had death threats. So it takes an enormous amount of courage to speak up about something that's embarrassing, that's humiliating, that she didn't feel comfortable telling anybody.
That courage, apparent today on the steps of the Supreme Court. Tarana Burke, who is a co-founder of the Me Too campaign, is keenly aware of the challenges around reporting these crimes and sees this moment as another call to action.
Dr. Blasey Ford's accusations and the way she's been treated subsequent to her accusations has been an organizing tool, if you will, for us in the movement. And so I think it's also been an opportunity for us to show the world that the Me Too movement is about this right here. It's about survivors coming forward and banding together to move our agenda forward.
Are you a scorned woman?
What was the content of what he said?
Has anybody promised you anything by coming forth?
Burke says the Kavanaugh hearings are reminiscent of what happened to Anita Hill nearly 3 decades ago.
The big difference is that Anita Hill didn't have the benefit of what we have here today. So many people didn't believe her at the time. And I think we learned a lesson from that, and we are out here, and we will not let the same thing happen twice.
We believe Debbie Ramirez. We believe.
I think that women and women's anger has been on display throughout the Kavanaugh confirmation process.
I believe that we can win.
We've seen protests in the halls of the Senate, in D.C., on law school campuses, and particularly against men in positions of power.
Many are hoping that today's demonstrations will send a message to Washington.
They don't want senators to vote to confirm Judge Kavanaugh, and that there may be electoral consequences that they may face at the ballot box if they do choose to vote to confirm Judge Kavanaugh.
Have you had enough? Yes! Have you had enough? Yes! I've had enough.
For many survivors today, their message was clear. We believe the women.
Let this be a reminder that you are not alone.
For Emily, Dr. Ford and Ramirez's courage to speak is already an enormous step.
So I would just say thank you, and we see you, we hear you, and believe you.
We see you, we hear you, we believe you.
For Nightline, I'm Linda Lopez in New York.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.